Oh, welcome in to the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And I'm joined, as always, by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What are you up to, you big Tennessee homer? Yes. Off to a hot start here.
Well, here's what happened, Mike. So I crack open the beer, and I realized that the mic is muted, so maybe we could piece some of this shit together. Yeah, we are in full off-season mode here, but we shouldn't be, Mike, because I want to ask you, brother, when is the first game of college football for the SEC?
Yeah, we're closing up pretty quick here, Shane. End of November. November. End of August. We're kicking off. Today's August 1st as you're listening to this.
Exactly.
We're going to have some SEC football, Shane. August 27th, Vanderbilt, going all the way to see the Flying Hawaiian, those Rainbow Warriors. Cannot wait for some SEC football. How about you, brother?
Oh, me either. And that's why I was saying it's like we don't have off-season anymore. This month, we are going to have SEC football. I mean, it's a matter of time. You know, it's like it's like a kid, and it hits December, and Christmas is at the end of the month, and it sucks. It takes a while, but I'm telling you what, we're going to have a ton of content coming to you this month. This is when college football officially starts. We always talk about it. Media Days is the kickoff. This is where the fun starts because kids are starting to show up in camp.
Yeah, no doubt, Shane. And I got to be honest with you, I was just, I'm still a little bit in vacation mode. Coming off the.
I think you're still drunk.
Well, hey, speaking of that, I'm sipping some Four Roses bourbon right here, fresh off the Kentucky bourbon. The number one question I got asked, Shane, when I kept saying on Twitter that I'm vacationing in Kentucky, the rest of the SEC, where in the hell can you vacation in Kentucky? Let me tell you, brother. I mean, there's about 24 spots to go check out distilleries and
oh yeah,
it's fine country up there. I got nothing against Kentucky, and I had the only issue I had on my entire vacation, Shane, was, and people think I'm responsible. This was you, Shane. This was your idea. You're the one behind it. Insert SEC team. What's their record going to be like after 6 games? I thought it was a little fun thing, get some engagement going, have some fun with the people, have some back and forth while I'm on vacation. And I got to be honest with you, Shane, I was 3 sheets to the wind on most of these picks, and people are sitting here writing down my answers and betting it. We had one LSU guy bet me $5,000 via DM after I said LSU. I don't even know what I said, 3-3, I think.
Exactly. Tell me SEC is not the most passionate fan base. You put out 6 games. What do you think the record is after 6 games? And you know what's funny? It's just the barrage of comments that come from opposing fan bases. It's just like it was great, and it was every team. The one that surprised me was the very last one that I put out there, and that was Mizzou, and that thing is still going. I had to mute the comments, man. It is these guys and girls are ready for some college football, and they're ready to see their boys in action.
Yeah, and if you didn't say 6-0 on any of them, Shane, you're down wrong. You should be taken out of the SEC. You don't deserve to cover it. And here's the deal, Shane. I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I was on vacation. I was day drinking the entire trip. I mean, people are going to hold it against me regardless, but these are not what I'm sticking to, after we see these teams. Hell, we've got one training camp open here in the SEC. We've got a big injury to discuss here at Tennessee. I mean, injuries are going to happen. And once we see these teams on the field, hell, if Florida gets trounced week 1 by Utah, I may be a fool for having the Gators number 2 in the East, but that don't mean I'm going to sit here and just go down with the ship and say, there's still hope that the Gators are going to be number 2 in the East. We're going to find out week 2 what that team's made of when Kentucky comes to town. That's going to tell us a hell of a lot about both those teams, and that is kind of the topic. We'll get to it here in a minute, but the biggest games that are going to play a race in the SEC this first month of the season, that's going to be the show topic. of this podcast, but we've got a little bit more to cover before we get to that.
Yeah, it's just the ramp up too. I mean, it's not. You look around. You've got Oregon. You've got Florida State.
Yeah.
You've got some of these teams, Utah that you mentioned already. Some of these programs that these SEC teams face early are going to give us a good estimate on how far along this program is, or how there's some folks that think they're there, and then you may get into 2 weeks in and you're like, you know what? Yeah, we're still in a rebuild. It's right. So
Tennessee versus Pitt.
Or it may be like a team that you're sleeping on.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people that don't think Florida can beat Utah.
Right.
And if they come out and smoke them, I mean, then we turn around and say, damn, they're further along than we thought. So you could put out this guess 6, whatever, but after week 1, 2, we're going to really know where these guys are at, and it's going to give us an estimate, like I said, to how this schedule or this season is going to fall.
Yeah, and you throw some wild cards, Shane. I mean, when we threw the Ole Miss one out there, that was an easy 6-0 for me, but who the hell knows? I mean, Georgia Tech, I think they're in year 4 of that coach, and they've not been good, so I expect Ole Miss to whip them. But it is in Atlanta, and who knows? They may be fighting for that coach's job. Maybe that's a trap game for the Rebels.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, they got to play Memphis. Hell, we know what happened last time. That's a tricky game. They go
Tennessee
out to
and Pitt.
Tennessee, Pitt. Mississippi State also goes out to Arizona. I mean, we just don't know what's going to happen. That could derail an entire season out there, or it can build a hell of a lot of momentum going into conference play. So, like I said, don't hold it against us. I don't even think Cousin Shane made a prediction out there. He's the one. He don't want anyone yelling at him. Whereas I got 40,000 people just all up in my mentions for weeks thanks to you.
They saved those, man. Yeah, another one was South Carolina, Georgia State. Anytime Georgia State's on the schedule, you got to be a little hesitant before you just put a victory in there. No, I did not do any. I did not. I was going to save that a little bit closer toward the shows, but it was so funny. Mike's up here getting drunk on the bourbon tour. I mean, he's sending me shots at noon, and I'm like, golly, that looks fun. I wish I was up. I'm at work, And then I said, I'd fire off one of these tweets, and I said, Mike, do not answer this one.
And I think that was Kentucky. While I was up there, Shane, I said 6-0.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone coming at me. And then I left the state. I said 3-3 is my real answer. So, having some fun with those Wildcats, and safe to say, those are good people up there. They treated me well this last week.
A vacation state. I'll tell you, some of the best times I've ever had have been up in Kentucky. Of course, the bourbon tour is always fun, but we went to Lexington. We did the Keeneland up there. Hell, them horses live better than I do. And Louisville's even fun. We went up there and saw where Muhammad Ali and Louisville Slugger, all that. Some of the best food I ever had. So Kentucky gets I give Kentucky a hard time because I'm a Tennessee fan, but they got some stuff up there. And of course, before I go too far, I do want to say my thoughts and prayers are out for a lot of families affected by flooding up there. I don't know if you've seen some videos coming off this thing, but damn, I had never seen anything like it. So if you're because we got a lot of loyal listeners, loyal fans up there, and if you're listening, I'm just letting you know we're thinking about you.
Absolutely, Shane, and we can't even talk Kentucky without mentioning Cousin Ollie. Shout out to him. I reached out to him. He gave me some recommendations for the Bourbon Trail, so we hit up the spots he recommended. Like I said, it couldn't have been a better time. And for all the people trashing Kentucky out there, go visit it and let me know if you have a bad time, because I don't think you can when you're going to 3 distilleries in a day and leaving with a couple of cases of some fine bourbon. You know what?
Yeah, I was up there that year they lost all that bourbon. I don't know if you remember. Somebody said, Shane, did you come home with some barrels? I think they found out it was an inside job that I had nothing to do with. But
to get you going, Shane, I know this is something that we've been having some fun back and forth with this last week. But our man, Eli Drinkwitz, we had him on the show. We tried to get him going with some of these questions. He kept it relatively reserved. Well, he jumped on the old Jim Rome show, Shane, and he came out guns a-blazing. Let's kick it over to Missouri's head coach, Eli Drinkwitz.
I thought you were going to introduce my record, but with the latest allegations against Tennessee, let's hold up on what my record is, because I expected to vacate some wins. and that's going to help my record a little bit. Okay?
Oh, man,
So
this is getting better. This is getting so much better. Can I ask you, I wasn't necessarily going to go there, but you would be the beneficiary of that. Since you brought it up, can I get your reaction to the latest allegations against Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I got to question my wife's commitment to winning. You know, I mean, I don't know how much she's committed if she's not engaging in some of these things. I didn't know that was fair play. So, we got to, it was a little bit surprising to see the in-depth nature of what was going on there. But I am sure glad that Tennessee was taking some ownership of it, and we'll see what the results are. But it's pretty interesting for sure.
I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends.
How about it, man? I mean, I love it. I love these type of comments. You come out here, you're taking shots at one of the renowned powers in the SEC, but that I think is what you got to do if you're Missouri coach. You got to fire the base up. And I saw so many Vols saying, "Well, to hell with this guy, this nerd. He needs to shut his mouth." But he got them going, and that's what I want to see right before football season. I don't know about you.
That's what you got to do at Mizzou. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's talking about Missouri. They need to be talking about it. You do it by your coach coming out here. One of the things I know it kind of got me, because I'm a Tennessee Vol fan, but this is what we talked about with Coach Eli, is that he's authentic. He doesn't beat around the bush. He speaks his mind, and a lot of times that gets lost in the SEC. But if Mizzou was a successful program, I even heard him talk about on an interview, that he was talking to his dad. He says, they were talking about Spurrier. He says, well, his dad says you got to win a lot more games before you could just say whatever you think, you know what I'm saying? So it's the same approach. I want him to be real. I want him to be, speak his mind and fire up the fan bases, man. This is what college football's all about. I mean, we shit talk each other all the time.
Right.
If you got a fan that's a diehard Auburn fan, you're a Bama fan, you're sending each other texts and tweets all the time. You're why can't coaches do that? Why can't players do that? Because this shows me what coach is doing in the living room of a kid's, recruit. He's telling these kids, Tennessee's in trouble. They're about to lose everything. So, I mean, this is what you got to do, negative recruiting. That's what college football is. So, I like it. Obviously I didn't like the hits on my team. I mean, maybe that's why he didn't, want to get too friendly there at the thing. He knew he was going to blast my program as soon as he left. But, I give him that. But I'd like the fact that he's coming out here and having fun, man.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned recruiting, Shane, maybe it does have something to do with the fact the number one player from the state of Missouri, Shondavion Bradley, pass rusher, committed to the Vols, Shane. So I'm sure that had something to do with old Drinkwitz going on the show. You know what?
Yeah, that's right. They were just Skyping before he went in there.
Well, speaking of comments that, these probably he wishes he had back. Did you see what Matt Corral had to say here during training camp with the Carolina Panthers? He's competing with old Baker Mayfield there for the starting quarterback role in Carolina. Let's kick it over to his comments real quick. And, I'm not ready to jump on Matt Corral like a lot of people were.
What's it like in the preparation?
I'm going to take us back to where I decided to go to college. I took the easy way because I felt like I could play right away, right? And knowing what I know now and trusting my instinct and trusting my work ethic, I would have went to a place that would have made me compete. So with that being said, who doesn't, like the best of the best, they want competition. And I think for this room, it's going to be a great competition because, we're all competitors in that room and we're all going to make, we all understand, what the job is to get done and we're going to do it.
So did you get a chance to see these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, Shane, but I mean, if I'm an Ole Miss person, I don't want Matt Corral saying stuff like this. But at the same time, I don't think that he's sitting here saying, I wish I didn't go to Ole Miss. Because, hell, he's one of the most decorated quarterbacks in that school's history, coming off a Sugar Bowl appearance, first 10-win regular season in school history, made it to the NFL. I think what he's truly trying to say here, and he just poorly chose words here, was the fact that he picked Ole Miss because he knew he could go in there and play.
Yeah.
And now in the NFL, you don't have that opportunity. You got to work and scratch and claw for everything you have. And he lost that job at Ole Miss, Shane, because maybe he didn't take the game that seriously. He lost it. Remember our boy John Rice Plumlee, who we loved on this show. We thought, my God, he could be a star under Lane Kiffin. But what it was Matt Corral rededicated himself and got taught by arguably the best quarterback coach in college football, Lane Kiffin, and they turned him into an NFL draft pick. So I think that was the lesson he learned at Ole Miss. I think really what he's just saying, he made the wrong decision. You don't make a decision like that based on your clearest path to the field. You make a decision on who's going to develop you into a better player. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Obviously, though, this has been, it's been blown up a little bit. And the problem that you have is he's now an ambassador to Ole Miss. And, it's not like he's not just a quarterback in Mississippi anymore. In the NFL, the cameras are always rolling. And they're looking for hot takes and clips. There was a lot of video of Matt Corral talking up there, and this is what came out because this is what gets buttons clicked. You know what I'm saying? So I think, it sucks that it happened this way and that it's not been addressed. But I will tell you, if I'm Ole Miss, especially media relations, I'm reaching out. They send these care packages to these players in the NFL. They want them wearing their gear still, so that it's just advertising for their program. So I would reach back out to him and see if you can't get him to kind of come out and say his. And he may have. Maybe I just haven't seen it, and it's not gone as viral as the first clip, but I think he said what he was feeling, but if he could really think about what he was saying, he may not have done it because you're right. He took the path, maybe he took the path of least resistance to get to Ole Miss so he could play football. But if he didn't do that, he wouldn't be a first-round pick in the NFL probably. So I think everything happens for a reason, and when he takes a step back and thinks about what he actually said, I think he made the best decision for him.
And speaking of, questionable decisions, but good news here for the Aggies and great news for Cousin Shane's SEC preseason pick here because Ainias Smith, all charges dropped. His suspension was basically for SEC media days. Star receiver, running back, should be an All-American. He's that type of player. Ainias Smith, good to go. Unfortunately, linebacker Chris Russell, not as lucky. He picked up some charges, so it's pretty interesting. He was a passenger with Ainias Smith. I don't know how that conversation went, but I have a guess how it went in old Jimbo's coach's office there. But the good, the highlight there, Ainias Smith, good to go. He's not going to be suspended or anything, not even for camp. This is great news for the Aggies in their quest to reach Atlanta.
Huge news. This is a game-changing type player. This is one of those guys that you have to know where he's at on the field at all times, and that just makes every other player on that team better because they don't have as many eyes on them. So this was if Texas A&M was going to make a run at a national championship or an SEC championship, I've been on record saying this, if not now, then when. You got to have Ainias Smith. And when I made this bold prediction, it was before I found out about him. And now that he's coming back, I just feel a lot better about the money I've got on the Aggies.
Well, speaking of the Aggies, Shane, we're going to mention them here because show topic here. Biggest games, first month of the season that will affect the conference title race. So I'm sticking all the conference games. I don't know about you. You could do non-conference games too if you wanted, but you ready to talk about the biggest games first month of the season in the SEC, brother?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
So, again, first month is all I'm talking about here, and the games that will factor in biggest when it comes to the conference title race to Atlanta. We're going to learn a ton about these teams with these games. And what do you say we start at the bottom and work our way up? How's that sound?
That sounds good, man. Let me get it pulled up here so Okay. All right. So I am ready, brother. So it doesn't have to be SEC. You're going just SEC. I can pick something else, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Because
Okay.
I mean, like I'm not dumb enough to say Oregon will knock off Georgia week 1.
Right.
But if that were to happen, I think all of a sudden the rest of the SECs get a little bit of confidence boost. And maybe we get more on tape that we say, well, hell, Georgia can't defend this. Georgia can't stop this. Or Georgia's offense is struggling in this area. So there's many different ways you can attack this list. But and as I got my 7 games here, I kind of wish I threw in some non-conference games because there's going to be some really good games the first month of the season. You know what?
Okay. All right. I'm in, man. I'm ready. Locked and loaded.
So the one I've got ranked number 7, and again, I've only got 7. I don't know how many you got on here, Shane, but
Oh, shit. I was doing – okay, Mike.
Mhm.
All right, guys and girls, listen. I am ill-prepared. This topic just got dropped on me, and now we're changing the rules. I thought we were going to go down each team, and we'd pick, pull up the schedule and say, okay, out of the first 3 or 4 games here, which all of them should be – well, we got 4 games for each team. Out of those 4, which one you got highlighted as kind of a, an SEC, I don't know, how would you say that?
well, the only issue is the first month of the season.
Yeah.
There's only 7 conference games, so I got all the conference games here. So I just am basically what I'm basically doing is just overlooking the non-conference for my list.
Okay.
But maybe you want to highlight a couple on yours,
Yeah, well, I don't have a list. That's what I'm saying. So here's what we'll do. You do your list. I'll critique the hell out of it, and I'd like to maybe add some if I think you left one off.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, so this game, Shane, takes place week 4 of the season, so a month in, and it could have huge ramifications for both of these teams. I feel bad putting it at 7 because this should be a marquee game on both teams' schedules, but I'm going Missouri at Auburn, Shane.
Yeah.
The SEC opener for both these schools going to tell us a hell of a lot about both of them. If Missouri is going to overachieve this year, it has got to start with, hey, I think 9 times out of 10 you'd say a trip to Auburn. That's almost a certain loss. But I think this year you could certainly spin that as a very winnable game. Again, we'll see what these teams look like the first couple of weeks of the season. But as I sit here now, I think Missouri can win this football game. Now, that's not to say I don't think Auburn can win. Auburn, they probably should win the game. It's at home, have an overall talent advantage over the Missouri Tigers. But again, if Brian Harsin drops this game, it's, oh my God, the panic down there on the plains. So this game, there are so many ramifications for both teams. That's why I've got it on this list.
I like it, Mike, and the reason I like it is because you heard a little bit of it brought up on social in the media days was the hot seat topic. Nobody wants to say it when the coach is in the room, but that's all we talk about when he leaves. This is the facts, man. Is how good is Auburn? We don't know, and I'm telling you, if they keep struggling like they have in years past, they won't tolerate it. Clearly, Now I don't think he loses his job, but what starts that chatter is losing to Mizzou, because I think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle this season. I'm not sure about this Penn State, but coming off that Penn State game, then you drop a Mizzou game. This is a team that all Auburn fans expect to win. This is a game that most Mizzou fans expect to win. It should be a hell of a fight, for both of them. But after that, you've got LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Arkansas. It's like it doesn't get any easier. So it feels like it's just the tip of the spear. And if they drop that one, it just starts all the chatter again.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, number 6 on my list, Shane. Hell, this game, the week it's played, I think it's the second best game in the country, Shane. Only reason I'm putting it a little bit lower on the list is because it's East versus West.
Yeah.
And again, while it is a huge game, I don't know how big of a factor it's going to play for the East and West race. South Carolina at Arkansas, Shane. We are going to learn a ton about the South Carolina Gamecocks week 2 as they travel to Fayetteville. Hell, we'll probably learn a lot about Arkansas because we think them Razorbacks are just going to steamroll Cincinnati. So should be 1-0 South Carolina as long as they take care of business against Georgia State, which they should. Should be a battle of undefeateds. This is going to give the winner of this game a ton of momentum going into this schedule. Spencer Rattler, KJ Jefferson, a star-studded quarterback affair. Shane Beamer, Sam Pittman, two of the brightest rising stars in the coaching ranks. This should be a hell of a football game.
Brother, this is a very, very, very crucial game for both East and West because it's a test, man. We keep saying the East is getting better. The East is getting better. Some are saying this is the best the West has ever been. After this ball game, we're going to have a pretty good pulse on both sides because it's two teams that are up and coming. Arkansas obviously has had plenty of success here the last few seasons, but this is the year that a lot of fans are expecting the step. This is where they're competing with Alabama. This is where they're competing with teams like Georgia and A&M. This is a team you can't just pencil a loss when they face these opponents. And then you got South Carolina, on the other hand, that is, you want to talk about a hype train, brother. It's coming out of Columbia, South Carolina right now. These kids are ready for some victories, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when you walk into this game with Arkansas, if Arkansas blows you out of the water, you want to talk about taking the wind out of the sails, hurting you on the recruiting trail because they've put themselves on that pedestal that they have arrived in the East. If you get blown out by the Razorbacks, it just derails everything that you've preached for the last 2-3 months. I still think it's a rebuild over there, and I don't think they're exactly where they want to be, but they're getting there. I just think when you come out and you lose bad to a team from the West, it's bad for business. But then on the other side, if they beat Arkansas, now we say, oh, shit, South Carolina has arrived.
Right.
All that hype is for real. And Arkansas is in trouble because this isn't the toughest opponent on their schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they got dreams of winning the West, and it sure as hell's probably not going to happen if you lose week 2 to South Carolina. You know what?
Exactly.
Now, how about this game, Shay? We're getting into, division opponents, and I feel bad putting this game this low, Shane, because this going to tell us a hell of a lot about both these teams. Number 5 on my list, Mississippi State at LSU, week 3 of the season. This is going to be a real opportunity for Mississippi State to prove to the nation, the SEC, that they're ready to challenge in the West. This could be, one of those big breakout years we expect from Mike Leach and Mississippi State every couple of years. That both those, the coach and the program seems to do it every couple of years. So you combine them, it gives you a sense of the expectations there in Starkville. Where on the other end of the spectrum, hey, this is a game. All LSU fans, they don't even expect it to be a contest more often than not. And that's why they're bringing in a guy like Brian Kelly to make sure games like this, they open the 2020 season in Death Valley, they got pants by Mississippi State. It's games like that is why Brian Kelly's in Baton Rouge to end, shit like that. So this game is huge for the SEC West, I think.
It's very big, and a couple of reasons I think it's big is because I love Mississippi State, and I think they're better than people think. This is one of my underdog stories coming into the West, and we've heard a few people come up and say they really like Mississippi State, especially with all the talent they're bringing back. But beating a team like LSU puts you on the map. Everybody is in love with Coach Kelly. Everybody's in love with the LSU Tigers. You talk to a common fan in Michigan, they're going to tell you, oh, LSU's surely going to win that game. They got Coach Kelly. This is LSU. They just won a national championship a few years ago. There's no way. That's the national attention that LSU has compared to Mississippi State. How do you flip it? Beating the shit out of them, you know. I think that's what it is. This is a statement game for Mississippi State. Now, this is also a redemption for LSU, if they're legit. We've gone on. I mean, we did the optimistic show, and we think LSU's got plenty of talent. We think Coach Kelly's the right guy, But there's so many question marks. We got so many transfers coming in. We don't know how deep these guys are. We don't know how they're going to schematically play. I don't think Florida State's a real good test. So I don't know if we're going to know much about LSU until this Week 3 matchup. But they may come out and we figure out that LSU's a lot further along than we thought. And if that's the case, the West just got a little more exciting because a good LSU always makes for great football games.
Right, and I don't think it's crazy to sit here, Shane, on August 1st here and say Mississippi State, LSU, one of these teams could win 10 games this year. Is that crazy?
Right. No, not crazy at all.
But I guarantee you, Shane, neither one's going to do it that loses this game.
No. This one, it's like I said, after you do, if Mississippi State does what I think they're going to do, they're 3-0 after this game. Looking at 4-0. Here, I just told you I wasn't going to give them my 6, but they're undefeated going into that Texas A&M game, and I would be curious what that point spread would be because a lot of people are going to catch on real quick that the Pirate has got a fucking team. I'm sorry. I'm cussing a lot. I apologize, Mom, if you're listening. I'm fired up about them Bulldogs.
Just crown them, Shane. Just crown them.
I am, man.
Now, how about this one? I feel bad even putting this game so low here, Shane. But number 4, this one's going to be close to your heart. Florida at Tennessee, Week 4 of the season. I mean, this looms large always for Tennessee. I mean, this is the one you got to get over. It's like you can't have that dream season unless you beat the Florida Gators. Whereas on the flip side, hey, again, we're probably playing with house money if we're Billy Napier and the Gators. Most people are going to be picky to lose this game. You're on the road, a hostile environment. Fans are going to be fired up. But this is an opportunity for you to go in there and steal some momentum as you go into that SEC gauntlet. Florida at Tennessee, number 4 on my list.
Brother, I'm telling you, when Napier took that job and they're sitting in that office, I can almost guarantee you that they said, hey, one day we want to beat Georgia, okay? We know it's not going to be this year. It's going to be a few years from now, but we want it. But this year, we want you to beat Tennessee. We want you to beat Kentucky. There's a few teams on that Florida list that they are expecting to win. It doesn't matter who they roll on the field. These teams hate each other. I mean, if you grew up in this rivalry during the 90s, it was just pure hatred, and it still is. It's still looming, brother, because Tennessee cannot get over the hump. Why does every game that they beat the Florida Gators have to be put on display as the most miraculous ball game ever? You know, why does it have to be a comeback? Why does it have to be a miracle? You know, this roster should beat the Florida Gators. But going into the matchup, I'm scared to death because I remember all the games they beat us. So it's like, what do you do? So I think it's very, very big for Florida, but I think it's bigger for the Tennessee Volunteers because the fans are expecting to win now. They're expecting to get this off their back, man. There's you watch a game last year, and I know it's not the same thing, but when they lose to South Carolina, when they lose to Mizzou, it's like we literally hung 80 points between the two in the first half of our games. Why are we not competing against the Florida Gators? But I literally think the wheels fell off after the Tennessee matchup. But anyway, I'm starting to ramble, Mike. I'm saying all that to say this. This is a game, again, that both fan bases are expecting to win. You don't know the outcome because just as soon – it's like the LSU-Florida games. It's going to come down to the final possession usually, and that's what I expect in this matchup.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons I love college football so much, Shane, is just the momentum. And there's so many different ways you can break that down. I know there's people that don't believe in momentum. Those people are stupid. And I'm talking, you could break it down possession by possession momentum. You could talk week to week. But what I'm really talking about when I'm talking about this Florida and Tennessee series going into this season is the momentum of Billy Napier's program versus the momentum of Josh Heupel's program. And fair or not, how people are going to view this, Billy Napier in year 1, Josh Heupel in year 2, Tennessee strong finish. I know they didn't win the bowl game, but still, the arrow's pointed up for Josh Heupel right now.
Right.
And Florida, I know they finished low in the standings, but in Florida's minds, Tennessee's below them.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And the only way for Tennessee to change that is to beat them on the field. It's got to take place here when you got Billy Napier year one. So it's kind of what you're saying. When they hire Billy Napier, they say, okay, Kentucky and Tennessee, those are programs that are below us. It's your job to keep them below us. Yep. If you slip up here, I'm not saying Tennessee is just going to dominate Florida for the rest of the time, but all of a sudden, it's almost like they switched positions there.
Yep.
This is Tennessee's opportunity, Josh Heupel's opportunity to say, this is a new Tennessee. This is my Tennessee. This is a Tennessee where we beat the Florida Gators in Neyland Stadium. So, there's so many different ways to enjoy this game, but that's why it's got to be on a list like this, Florida at Tennessee week 4.
And the fact it's not higher makes me wonder who you got next, Mike.
Number 3, and hey, maybe I'm a little biased because I'm already out here throwing the upset special, but Georgia at South Carolina, week 3 of the season. This could be one hell of a game, Shane. And I know them Georgia fans and national people, they're fired up about this Oregon versus Georgia week 1. Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, I'm fired up for football regardless. But this is the Georgia game I want to see. Coming into Williams-Brice Stadium, playing Spencer Rattler and company on that offense with a new-look defense. I want to see how these teams match up. And this is Shane Beamer's opportunity to show that, all the momentum they have in this offseason, that it's legit, that it's real. They won several marquee upsets last year, but this will be the biggest win yet of the Shane Beamer era. Georgia at South Carolina.
Just when I thought I was drinking the Kool-Aid. Hey, I'm not saying that this isn't going to be a good game, but number 3, that's dangerous, man. That's you doubling down on the fact that you think that South Carolina has a shot to beat the Georgia Bulldogs. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that we're a little too far away to just put an asterisk by this game saying it's going to be that important. I don't think we walk away from this game. If South Carolina loses, I don't think Gamecock fans are mad.
Right.
As long as it's not a blowout. As long as it's a couple scores. And nobody wants to hear that. I know. It's not sexy talking like that. Everybody wants an upset. But, we got to have realistic expectations here. This is the Georgia Bulldogs coming off a national championship, freaking loaded. They're going to be 2-0 by the time they get to Williams-Brice. Yeah. And there's nothing I've seen as of yet that thinks that this is going to be as close a game as you. But – I said that 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, whenever they were down there and had the upset. And there's been a handful of games that Georgia has not looked pretty. And, maybe they start reading their press clippings and this thing, does become a ball game. But I don't know. I'm not as high on this one. I still think it's important, though, to figure out, I guess, the shift in the East. To see how, because that's all we're doing, man. We're talking about, okay, Kentucky's getting better, Tennessee's getting better, South Carolina's getting better. Yeah, they're getting better compared to what? The Georgia Bulldogs. So now, how close are they to competing against a team like the Bulldogs? So I think that's the good thing is we're going to have a pulse early in the year of kind of the dynamics of the SEC East.
I just can't wait for it, Shane. When South Carolina pulls the early upset of the year, Shane's going to be tweeting out, we picked it. Just remember.
Pull the list. Don't listen to the pod. Just put the list up, Mike.
How about this one? Number 2, Shane, I know you're going to love this selection. Arkansas versus Texas A&M in Arlington, week 4 of the season. This game is probably going to decide, the biggest challenger to Alabama in the SEC West. It was it was a hell of a game last year. Arkansas finally snapped that streak. Now A&M is going to come into it with a ton of revenge on their mind, trying to put the Razorbacks back in their place as they see it. But thoughts on Arkansas versus them Aggies?
Well, my initial thoughts was I know exactly who you got in the first spot now, because this is like 1A, 1B in my opinion. This is a very, very, very crucial game, because here's an Arkansas team that beat Texas A&M last year. Here's an A&M team that's expecting to beat Arkansas this year. Razorbacks fans knows what they have. They know they can go toe-to-toe with the Aggies. And, you know, I think it's going to make for a absolute awesome ball game. Obviously, Alabama would be looming the following week, but you know, how can you overlook Texas A&M? You can't. All the focus will be on this program. September 24th. I'm telling you, this thing is going to be electric and a hell of a matchup.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, number one on the list, so you already know what it is, Shane. Kentucky at Florida, week 2 of the season. This is going to tell us a hell of a lot. I kind of teased it earlier in the show, but we're going to learn a lot about the Wildcats. Are they ready to contend truly for the SEC East, where Billy Napier and company coming off a tough game against Utah? Well, it remains to be seen how they'll look in that opener, but they may not judge Billy Napier on how they do against Utah. They're going to judge them week 2, how they do against Kentucky. Cannot wait for this football game.
Could you imagine saying this 10 years ago, that this is the game of the first 4 weeks, that Kentucky and Florida, it's a crucial matchup? I mean, if that's not a testament to how great they've done up there in Lexington and the fall in Gainesville, you know what I'm saying? It's just, there's nothing steady in the SEC. But the fact is, this is a very, very crucial matchup, and man, the shit talking has already started, and I love it. You know, Kentucky, they got it, man. They know they're going to win this thing, and
right.
The Florida Gators, they think about the last 30 years. How many times have I seen the all-time stat? I mean, that's like their go-to. You know, it's just like Tennessee and Kentucky. It's like, yeah, you've been great for this, but let's look at the last 20 years. That has relevance. But this game is going to set the tone in the East, man. So many people that we've talked to this week and last week, they had trouble picking who's going to be the second best team in the East. You know, it's really it's Tennessee. Is it Florida? Is it Kentucky? Is it South Carolina? We're 4 weeks in. We're going to have a good idea on who the second best team in the East is, and it all starts with this matchup. Huge matchup.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't state how badly I want to watch this football game, and this is going to tell us a lot about both these teams and where they are ready to compete in the SEC East race or not. Because again, I think Kentucky could drop his football game, and given their schedule, they could still win the East. It'd be tough, but I don't think Florida, if you lose at home right out the gate to Kentucky, your next game SEC game at Tennessee, I don't know. I hate to say make or break week 2 of the season, but I mean, it looms large for the Florida Gators, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think because, again, you got the Utah game chilling out there, and that's not on your list, but I'm sure if you were to include non-conference games, you know, the last thing you want to do with a new coach down there in Florida is start out the season 0-2. I mean, that's just something that never happens down there. Here we're coming off a program that is expected to win bowl games, expected to beat certain programs. Utah, Kentucky, Tennessee, those are those programs, and if they don't, it's a rough start. And I'm not saying they can't get out of that hole, but you know, there is a lot looming on that Kentucky-Florida matchup.
Any of the non-conference games you want to highlight that you think deserve to make this list?
I mean, the fact Texas and Alabama, we got to mention that because the South Carolina hype, the LSU, you know, I've heard some hype coming out of there. There ain't no hype coming out like it is in Austin, man. These guys, I mean, they are crowning these guys. I don't know what it is. They just went from zero to hero overnight, and they just love them. So this game, I really got my eyes on, because for starters, every time we build up one of these matchups, we know that we're going to be able to turn it off at half if Nick Saban's involved. You know, it's like, what do you want to do after the halftime? Because this game's going to be over with. I think Alabama's just going to come out and crush them, but it's going to, it's good seeing Texas and Alabama going against each other because we're going to see it again and again and again now that they're coming into the SEC. So I don't know. That's why I've got it a little bit higher, just because it's a preview of the future. The Penn State-Auburn game, I talked a little bit about that one. Obviously, that is a game I think Auburn can get. You just don't want to get blown out. You don't want to get beat on national. I mean, it starts that whole hot seat talk. You don't want to do that. Come out and put this team away. This is not a team that was as good. They're worse this year. And I think Auburn is better. So I think this is a year they can beat them, but I'd have them on there. I'd have Georgia, Oregon, just because that's going to be fun to see the champ. Talking about opening the season against the Oregon Ducks. It's just going to be a fun game to watch. Now, I don't think it's going to be a game, but it's still, the build-up, and then you see your defending national champs take on a Pac team, a future Big 12 opponent. So I'm just kidding. I'm not getting the speculations out there. So I would put that one on there. LSU, Florida State, we talked a little bit about that one. I'm putting them all on there now. Let me look here. Any other ones? The Memphis, that one, because I just want to make my money back. I'm going to double down on that one. I'm putting $200 on Mississippi State. Are like, no, don't do that. So,
just don't make it a lock of the week,
Yeah, I won't lock it down. I ain't even going to put A&M Miami on there. Some people have talked about that, but I just don't think that's going to be a good game. But, yeah, that's the ones I have, Mike. So just about 10 other ones. That's when you're ready for college football. When I can make the argument that Hawaii and Vanderbilt should be on your list just because it's one day or a couple days sooner than the other one.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, last thing, Shane, both the schools here from the state of Tennessee have open training camps. So let's kick it on down to Rocky Top real quick, where unfortunately, Shane, we got some injury news.
Oh, no.
One of the running backs, Laneith Whitehead, the power back, out for the season. Josh Heupel announced here that Tennessee's opening here. They opened on Sunday. And then Brew McCoy, that's something that we talked about with Trey Wallace at SEC Media Days. Go back and check that out if you missed it. But Brew McCoy, the receiver, still not yet cleared to hit the field after, he's transferred a number of times. So it's something to do with his eligibility is up in the air. Any concern there that Tennessee, their offense, neither one of these losses is going to kill them, but you hate to see these type of things going into a camp. You know what?
Yeah, you really do. This one kind of hurts. That's somebody I was really excited about seeing this year. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be a hell of a combo up there, or was going to be. So this is what you do, man. You pray the kids make it through there, because when you come back from your camps and stuff, you running vertical and straight up and down, that's one thing, but then getting blocked, rolled into somebody, you hear these types of injuries coming out. You hate to see somebody lose the season. Brew McCoy, that's the thing I hope gets cleared. Trey did talk about it. He talked about the Solomon situation, very, very similar when it came from Michigan. It took a while, but he got cleared right there for us. So this may be one of those things that just haven't got around to check all the paperwork. But I'm not as concerned with that, because I have seen Hooker talking about some of the other receivers stepping up. So that's a good thing about these camps firing up is you're going to find out some of these guys you weren't planning on making an immediate impact are going to.
Right. And now, hey, we're not Debbie Downers here, Shane. Josh Heupel, real quick, we'll kick over to his comments here, but noted, he was asked about the depth and everything last season. His players going into year 2 of the system, a much deeper roster, gives him a lot more confidence heading into the season, which is something that I know you got to love to hear, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I'm nobody's more confident than me, Mike. I've been saving my 15-0 tweet here, but I decided not to send it out.
Yeah, Coach, outside of Laneith's injury, are you healthy otherwise? Will you have a handful of guys limited? I know Many guys were out in the spring. Where is your football team health-wise as you hit the field tomorrow?
Yeah, Lanif will be out for the entire year this year, just sustained an upper body injury a couple of weeks ago and had season-ending surgery. But for the rest of our football team, we're really pretty healthy. There's some guys that we'll build up through the course of training camp. Latrell Bumpus, somebody that missed a portion of spring ball, that will continue to build up. But we're really in a really healthy situation here moving into training camp.
Any update on Brew McCoy and how will you attack that? Just go to practice as usual and just kind of wait on confirmation?
Yeah, been in dialogue with the people that we need to. Our administration has been on the other side of the coin, and we feel good about where that's going. Bruce, healthy and ready to compete this training camp, so he'll be involved in everything that we're doing.
Sort of on that, the fact that you coached these guys last year, does that make it a little easier to judge how much growth they've made individually, comparing it to last year?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they have a better understanding of who I am and how I'm going to handle situations and how I'm going to communicate with them. And it's true on the other side of the coin for us as a coaching staff, for myself as well, to understand the successes, failures, the struggles that they have, what is their makeup and their ability to handle the things that are inevitably going to come up in the course of a ball game, but just in life too. And how do we help them? I think coaching's a big part of coaching is understanding who you're trying to communicate with and understanding the right buttons to push with those individuals to draw out the absolute best from them.
Now, last thing, I just thought this was pretty wild, Shane, that Vanderbilt, they opened on Friday, so hell, they're about half a week into camp already, as crazy as that is. Of course, they're playing week 0 against Hawaii, but according to Clark Lee, I mean, when they opened camp last year, the word he used was alarming. It was alarming watching his team practice, how far they've come in just a year's time. I mean, that's obviously what you want to hear if you're a Vanderbilt fan, but really interesting comments here, Shane, when asked about Mike Wright being the starting quarterback, announced at SEC Media Days. Does that mean that he'll be guaranteed to be the starter against Hawaii? Not necessarily, according to Clark Lee.
I remember last year, the first practice, afterward really got into them and we're not happy about it. This is a little bit different. How's it different right now compared to a year ago?
Well, I mean, last year, first practice, it was alarming, and I would say we are way more comfortable with what the expectations are and with kind of the manner in which we practice and the mindset towards attacking things and doing hard things together, and so I feel great about that. Now, this was still practice 1, but mistakes are mistakes. I'd expect that. We have a lot of young players who are getting folded in. We have to be patient with their development. The manner in which we move from drill to drill will improve, but on the whole, I thought the effort, the attention to detail, the intentionality was there today, and so I would expect that. That's the work we did this summer. That's the work we did in the spring. We're further along.
Does naming Mike Wright as the starter, add kind of a leadership component? What do you think of Mike as a leader for the team, and does naming him the starter kind of elevate that, I guess?
What you want to do is, we have, in my mind, 3 really good leaders in that room. And AJ Swan's young, and maybe it's a little early to say that about him, but I've been really impressed with his ability to rally people, he cares about football. He's done a lot with the other 2 freshmen to kind of get them onboarded and going. He has great connection with his teammates. AJ does. Obviously, Ken is led from that position, so he has experience too. And then we think, Mike has charisma, and he's got the depth of personality and depth of character to, and his teammates believe in him. And he stepped up in big moments for us a year ago and made big plays. The goal in naming Mike a starter was to turn the attention away from this idea that the position's up for grabs and it's last man standing wins it. We have to, in that room, get connected, and we have to lead the team from that room. And that means that it's not against each other, it's with each other for the team. And that mentality and mindset is what's going to build the best team. And in naming a starter, you give people a chance to gain some peace around what their role is, and to put that aside and to focus on just being their best, and all the while like empowering them to lead the team from whatever that position, that role is. At the end of the day, the starting quarterback is a centerpiece of the offense, but football teams are built not in 12 or 13 Saturdays. It's all the other days that build the team. And so, I'm really interested in seeing, all the quarterbacks step into a leadership role and take on that personality. And if we can take the focus off just the battle on the field, I think we start to strengthen off the field.
Thanks, sir. Interesting comments there from Clark Leashay, but a little bit of quarterback controversy here. Our first time we've been able to say that this fall.
That's a reverse way of doing it, It's like, I never thought it. I mean, we joked, like, watch him run Seals out there against Hawaii as a competitive advantage, but I don't know. Now this gives me pause.
Right.
You come out, you say Wright's your guy, and then the next day you're like, well, I just did that because I want this other guy to play better. It's like, wait a minute, are we wanting Seals or are we wanting Wright here? Now this is next level mind game here. So
right,
I love it. You got to have competition, Mike, and especially in that quarterback room, because if you don't, it becomes stagnant. We've seen this at other programs. I feel like Auburn is an example. Is this Bo Nix's job? Nobody else can have it, and it felt like it just never progressed, and I don't want to see that, especially with Vanderbilt. They have got to keep developing these kids, and the ones behind them got to keep. It's like a poor man version of Kentucky. You've got to put the time in because you're the next man up, and if they keep pushing each other, that just makes the room better.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, buddy, that's all we got on this episode of the show. You got anything before we cut it here?
Well, couple things. So Tennessee and Vandy have started camp. Anybody else in camp?
I mean, basically the entire SEC starts this week here.
Okay,
Yeah, so we're going to have news and notes all across the league as just more and more information hits. But for obviously Vanderbilt started early because of week 0, and Tennessee just want to get a head start, I guess.
Hey, I like it. Well, Mike. That's all I've got. I mean, I was just wondering because I knew a lot of them were coming in tomorrow. So listen up. We'll probably have a lot more coaches coming up, a lot more players. Just hope they stay safe, man. This is that touch and go time. You know what I'm saying? The kids coming back. You hate clicking on the links to find out camp news, But no, it's good to have them back in pads. It's good to have them back on campus. We're going to have college football in less than 30 days. So I'm pumped up, Mike. I don't know about you, but I am super ready for some college football.
Yeah, no doubt. And we'll be here to cover each and every little news item that's coming up the rest of the month leading up to the season. Don't forget, keep checking, keep hitting that refresh, subscribe, like. Those likes are coming through. We'll get you that koozie of your choice for a 5-star review. That's all we ask. But hey, that's all I got, brother. I appreciate you as always. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. We'll catch you on the next one.
All right. See you guys. Go Vols.